hello there, mortal. Oh, look at you, standing there, quaking like a leaf. Oh, don't worry, I don't bite. Come a little closer. What's that? Where are you? Oh, darling, I thought it was rather obvious. You mortals are so very funny. You think you're so special and unique and different. But really, underneath it all, you're all the same. Do you know how many humans ask me that very question? The first thing they say to me, where am I? What do you think? Should I have a giant banner made that says, welcome to hell? Maybe then you clueless mortals will understand. Yes, darling, you are very, very, very dead. And this is hell. How did you die? Oh, darling, I don't concern myself with mortal affairs. The only deities who know how you died, well, they're the big guys upstairs. But I don't concern myself much with bureaucracy. No, I'm simply here to welcome you to my home and your new home for eternity. Yes. Oh, who am I? Well, you humans have many names for me. Satan, the devil, Beelzebub, which I always thought was rather rude. I mean, do I look like a Beelzebub to you? No, no, no. My name is Lucifer, but my friends call me Lucy. And we are friends, aren't we, darling? Yes. Hell is my domain, and you are now under my jurisdiction. Okay. Enough with the chit-chat. I have a job to do. I am here to welcome you and introduce you to your new home. But first, I have to find you in our system. You're surprised we have computers down here, are you? What, do you think we still use scrolls of parchment and quills? Oh, darling, where do you think Steve Jobs ended up? Oh, now, don't be too shocked. In fact, most of your human celebrities ended up down here. The fact is, the more people know who you are, the more likely that you have influenced someone to sin. I know, the rules are rather harsh, but it turns out that contributing to or influencing someone to sin is essentially equivalent to committing the sin yourself. So almost everyone you have ever heard of is down here. I know, the rules are strict, but darling, I don't make the rules. I have never been one for rules. It's the big guys upstairs that love bureaucracy. Me, I'm more of an agent of chaos. But still, we do have a system here, so I'm going to need your whole name, please. Okay, and I'm going to need another form of identification for you. Well, darling, you can't believe that you are the only human in the history of time to have lived and died with that full name, did you? Well, you surely are egotistical little mortal, aren't you? No, a name simply does not cut it. I have the entirety of human life under my jurisdiction, and I need something a little bit more unique. See, it turns out that all mortals have a very unique soul signature. Of course, you can't sense it because you do not have vision on the soul plane, but me and other deities like me do. So, in order to uniquely identify you, I need an imprint of that soul signature. How do I get it? Oh, darling, wonderful question. Well, you see, your soul signature can be found in your blood. Oh, don't worry, darling. I'm not going to bleed you to death. Get it? Because you're already dead. Anyway, maybe my humor is too advanced for you. You'll get used to it. No, I just need a single drop, and I will input it into the system to find your unique identifier. All right. It is rather sparkly, isn't it? What can I say? I am one for a little drama. Now, in here is the tools I will use to get this drop of blood from you. There we go. All we need is one single drop. Oh, darling, I'm not an animal. Give me your finger. Alright, here we go. Thank you. Now, let me input that in the system. There you are, found you. You want to know why you're in hell? Oh, darling, you think I keep a list of every single sin that every single human who is down here has ever committed? Why, I'd have to chop down all of the trees in Tantalus's wood for the parchment for that list. And even now that we've digitized, think of the electricity that would be needed to power the data centers for all of that information. And trust me, darling, when you find out how we harvest electricity, you'll be glad we don't. No, the only information we have in your file is your name and which circle of hell you belong to. Ah yes, that Dante fellow sure was interesting. We took a lot of inspiration from him, in fact. We had a whole remodel. Yes. Although, we didn't do it exactly as he said. No, to us, the circles of hell are merely ways to categorize humans. If the majority of your sins were based around greed, well, then of course you'll be in the greed circle of hell. It's not so much a location as a category. Well, now we can play my favorite game, where I guess which circle of hell you belong to. Let's see. Perhaps it's lust? although the way you just blushed at the word makes me think that perhaps it is not. Maybe you have some wrath hiding beneath that sweet exterior. Perhaps you've committed untold acts of violence, and violence is your circle. Or perhaps you simply wanted too much and let it get ahead of you. Yes, that's my guess. You belong to greed. Let me check. Yes, there it is. I'm rather good at this game. You belong to the greed circle of hell. That means the majority of your sins had to do with greed. Of course, it doesn't preclude you from any of the other sins, and it certainly doesn't mean that you are stuck in one area of hell. I mean, not all of Dante's ideas were good. Okay, now that I've found your file, let me officially welcome you. Hell is a rather large place. Of course, you have eternity to explore it, but in order to make your first moons here enjoyable, or maybe enjoyable's not the right word, I have a map here to show you all of the places around hell that you can go. Now, let's start up here. These mountain ranges are called Hell's Teeth. If you ever got the absurd idea of escaping, I'm not sure where you would try to go, honestly, but if you did, these are the mountains that you would attempt to cross. Now, I will say, no one has ever accomplished the feat, and those who have attempted have seen their souls wither and die. And who knows where you spend your eternity after that. So, my advice would be, no matter how horrific your time here is, I would recommend not attempting to cross Hell's Teeth. Next on our tour, we can go to the panopticon. This is where you'll be staying. Oh, darling, we're not monsters. Of course you have a room. One of these many, many, many tiny windows is yours. Think of hell as a resort of sorts. We have all of the things you might find at a resort. Swimming, stables, of course they don't hold horses, a beautiful forest, and of course, a hotel room. Now, why do we call it a panopticon? Oh, Michel Foucault will be so disappointed when I tell him. I guess his lessons are no longer being taught up there on Earth. He's rather a genius, I think. We've taken a lot of his ideas on punishment and implemented them here. The panopticon is both a place to live and a form of torture. It is the idea that when one believes that one is constantly watched, one will both behave better and slowly go mad. You see, a panopticon involves one tower in the middle, surrounded by cells or rooms, if you will. Now, the prisoners or guests have no idea whether the guard who stands in the watchtower is there or not. And the guard in the watchtower can see every single person in every single room. So, the prisoners do not know if they are being watched. For all they know, they are being watched 24/7. Thus, the psychological torture. So, this is where you'll be staying. Let's move on. Next up on our tour is the Devil's Playground. Now, since greed is your circle of hell, I anticipate you'll be spending a lot of time here. It's rather like a casino up on Earth, in that it is designed to ensure that you never want to leave. However, instead of bartering money or chips, you barter with pieces of your soul. This is one of my personal favorite places in hell, hence why we call it the Devil's Playground. But remember what they say about gambling, darling. The house always wins. Now, if lust were your particular circle of hell, your vice, you might spend a lot of your time at Lover's Lake. In Lover's Lake, you'll find the most beautiful sirens you've ever seen. They call Lover's Lake their home. And if lust was your vice, you may be tempted to talk to them, flirt with them even, seduce them. But darling, the only one being seduced is you. And once they successfully pull you under the water, well, You'll be lucky to come out with all of your limbs attached. Now, coming down from Lover's Lake, we have, of course, the River Styx and the bubbling brook that winds its way through Tantalus's wood. Oh no, darling, I didn't misspeak. It is not a babbling brook, but rather a bubbling brook. And if you decide to take a swim, well, you'll come out rather charred. Now, this is Tantalus's wood. Surely you know of Tantalus. Oh, thank God the human education system hasn't failed me. Yes, this is where those whose vice is gluttony and who reside in the gluttony circle of hell would spend most of their time. In Tantalus's wood are the most succulent, tempting pieces of food and drink that you have ever witnessed. But if you try to reach out and grab one, of course, you come this close, but you never get it. Well, darling, you're dead. You don't need food. This is purely a form of torture for those who have committed gluttonous sins in their life. And honestly, most humans have. Now, moving along, down here is the Coliseum, and these are the stables. Now, like I said, we don't have horses here, of course, but at the Coliseum, one of our favorite pastimes down here is Cerberus riding. We take two humans from the violence circle of hell and we pit them together in a Cerberus riding competition. Now, Cerberuses have 3 sets of powerful jaws containing razor-sharp teeth. So, the humans who partake in Cerberus riding have to be very, very, very careful. But we do make it fun. It is a competition. And the person who stays on the Cerberus the longest gets to keep their skin. Now, isn't that wonderful? You can't say I never do anything for you. And lastly, you can cross Dead Man's Bridge and look into the pit. Now, If wrath was your circle of hell, the pit might be very, very enticing. We've designed it so. Those who are in the wrath circle of hell have committed the most egregious sins, and therefore deserve the most egregious punishment. No one knows what is in the pit, but if you get close enough, you can hear the screams going on for eternity. Well, there you have it. That is a very simple overview of hell. Of course, you have lots of time to explore, so you can find all of the hidden treasures we have here. Oh, and one more very important thing. If and when you find that you need to scream, do you see these red orbs that float around? Please scream into the orbs. You see, this is how we harvest power down in hell. We turn your beautiful, beautiful screams into electricity, which powers our computers and our lights. What happens if you don't scream into an orb? Well, darling, that would disappoint me, and trust me, you do not want to disappoint me. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this little welcome event. Trust me, you should be glad you didn't get my brother Asmodeus as your welcome guide. He is far less gentle. Now, every single gate and door here has been spelled with your particular soul frequency, so we will know where you are and who you are with at all times. But just to be extra sure, every mortal has their personal gremlin with them to help them get situated in hell. Be careful, they're rather bitey. Now, your personal gremlin will show you to your room in the panopticon, and I'll see you later.